an original.
From Story Studio Network.
Well, we don't normally publish Now and Next on a Friday, but this would be an extraordinary day. So we thought this will be our version of Now and Next Extra this week. Welcome in, Dave Trafford here for Story Studio Network. And just about, quitting time in these parts yesterday. My phone started to rattle and roar. And the headlines were Donald Trump was finally indicted in New York. So just to get some perspective on that and on what's next and what we should expect, although I hazard to say we never know what to expect when it comes to Donald Trump, but we'll weigh in on that. So we have imposed upon our friend David Schultz again to join us. He is the professor of political science and constitutional law at Hamline University. And as soon as that news broke yesterday, David, I thought, I'll bet my phone wasn't the only one buzzing. I expect there were a lot of people who wanted your take on what happened in New York just yesterday, less than 24 hours ago as we record.
No, you're absolutely correct. I did the phone from about 4 o'clock Central Time until I went to bed last night was nonstop. Yeah.
And I think it sort of settled in on all of us as this was playing out, up until the announcement was made official that he has been indicted by the grand jury in New York. I think it was all sort of a possibility. There was this kind of, it could or it couldn't happen, but we have finally stepped through the looking glass here, and I think we're not quite sure what's up or down anymore.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that happened on Thursday. First of it did break sort of a historical logjam in terms of the first president, or in this case, ex-president ever indicted for a crime. We're venturing into new territory in terms of what this means, how he's going to be tried, what's going to happen. But I'm also going to argue that there is a second significant thing that happened yesterday, which is he is facing, that is Donald Trump, multiple criminal investigations, another one in Georgia, another one, or actually two of them at the federal level, and a bunch of civil lawsuits. And the reason why I mention this is I think now that the first criminal charges have been filed against him, even though one case doesn't affect another, it's like breaking the proverbial log jam or the dam bursting, whatever metaphor we're looking for. I could actually see several other indictments coming down at this point, and his legal problems just becoming more and more complicated. So that's the second level. Then the third level, of course, is we're going into uncharted political territory in terms of a person, who's a viable candidate to get elected president of the United States, former president, who's now running for office again. And what does this mean in terms of campaigning? So there's lots of interesting things that really sort of broke yesterday that went from hypothetical to real.
And one of the things that was hypothetical, and I wonder if it's more real now than when we first discussed it, was the possibility that Trump is more likely to be a third candidate in the presidential campaign. And I say that because there are more Republicans now saying, all right, sit down. We don't need you in the party. And there's not many, but they're saying it out loud where they were otherwise supporting Donald Trump, and in terms of everything he's done over the last 6 or 8 years. I just wonder whether or not, either way, he's going to be in the race. This only confirms it.
Well, he's in the race. The question is, I think you're absolutely correct. Is it within the Republican Party, or is it running as a third-party candidate? Right now, I would say short term, he's consolidated support within the Republican Party. That if the convention were held today, he's got the nomination. People, whatever metaphor you want to use, the party's circling the wagons. Even Ron DeSantis is sort of saying at this point, and as well as Mike Pence and others, this is the president being picked on, in a partisan way. But longer term, does this give people within the Republican Party, as you suggest, the option to say it's time to move on? Does it erode his support? And since I don't think Donald Trump likes to be a loser, he might very well move in the direction of saying that perhaps what we're going to do now is we're run as a third-party candidate.
Yeah, so it'll be that calculus will be really kind of fun to watch from the sidelines, and that'll be a few more books in your back pocket that you'll have to write in terms of how the political sciences,
or at least
as if you haven't written enough.
At this point. That's right.
So
I think there's a court order coming to prevent me from writing any more books.
There you go. So we're clear, I mean, we keep talking about this New York indictment as if it was specifically about paying off the porn star. That is actually the action. But correct me if I'm wrong, the crime here is that it was intended to influence the 2016 presidential campaign. So that, sort of having that hush money for the purposes of obscuring the campaign or somehow altering the election is at issue. If he had done that in 2015, it wouldn't be a conversation, would it?
It might not be a conversation. I mean, the way I describe it to my students also, if I said to you, Dave, here's $10,000 so you don't tell anybody I don't eat my vegetables. Is there anything wrong with that? Nah, I can give people gifts all the time or something like that. You're right. It's a context issue here. It's under federal law. He perhaps made an illegal disbursement regarding or illegal campaign expenditure. That's the federal crime. Where the indictment comes in New York is alleging that he sought to conceal it under state law, and that's business fraud. But the part that now makes it a very novel case is that normally fraud, in this type of fraud, is a misdemeanor, except if you can show that there's a pattern, more than one. So they're going to try to show that the federal crime, it helps establish the pattern at the state level to ratchet this up to a felony. This is a complex legal argument that's never been made before. And we're going to see what a judge says, perhaps even come Tuesday, whether a judge throws this out or lets it proceed. So this is not a case that comes without a lot of baggage on it.
So to be clear as well, we know that the indictment has come. We know that it's related to this particular case. Is the material still sealed until it goes to court Tuesday?
Correct. So we will not know the charges against him until Tuesday. We'll have the criminal complaint at that point, which will start to outline, of course, the charges and maybe give us a picture of what we would call the theory, the theory of what the prosecution is dealing with. But between now and then, unless somebody leaks something, we're not going to know. And Donald Trump's really, his attorneys are not going to be in a position until then also too.
Oh, so they are not aware specifically.
They don't have a lot of detail either.
Right. That's interesting. Okay, so I was going to say, in some cases, I could see it playing into their hands. Trump would have it all over his
right.
truth platform, and away they go. But he has no access to it. Okay, so much more to be written and said about this. Listen, David, I know it's been a long day for you. Thanks for jumping in here in the breach. We might have to talk to you Tuesday or Wednesday just to see how all of this plays out. But it's good of you to join us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now and Next is produced by Becky Coles. Our production manager is Jamie Nickerson. Audio editors are Mike Trutler and Drew Garner. And our sonic logo designer is Greg McDonald. Our executive producers are Dave and Aaron Trafford.
This is SSN.
Story Studio Network.